Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and today we're talking about what are the pros versus the cons of entrepreneurship. Almost everybody at some point in their life, if not multiple times in their lives, think about what would it be like to be an entrepreneur? What would it be like to be a business owner? Maybe something happens, you don't get that promotion and somebody else gets that promotion and it pisses you off, and then you're like, I want to look into entrepreneurship. How do I open my own business? Maybe you see someone making money and you're like, man, I could do that. Maybe this happens, that happens. Maybe you have a mean boss who's just on your ass all the time. You're just so sick of it. You're like, man, I just want to be my own boss. Everybody thinks these kind of things at some point in time, guys. So today I'm giving you the three biggest pros, the three biggest cons of being an entrepreneur. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur, so I've experienced all these kinds of things, guys. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Number one, as far as the pros, we'll talk about the pros first, then we'll get into the cons. Number one is you can make your own schedule as an entrepreneur. Now, this is kind of like a half-truth, though. You can make your own schedule, absolutely, but you have to still kind of go around what your business is around. So, for instance, if you want to open up a pizza restaurant, right? You want to start a pizza restaurant that you think you're really good at that, you think you can succeed, make money, all those kinds of things, great. You're probably going to need to be open 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. pretty much every night of the week, and especially on weekends, 4 p.m., 10 p.m. Like, if you're not in business in those hours and you're selling pizzas, like, good luck to you as a business owner. You're probably going to go out of business really freaking quick, guys. So you can set your own schedule, absolutely, but you still need to go around kind of the industry standard. So for me, for my business, is my real estate marketing business, right? I know that pretty much everybody wants photos or videos done for like 95% of the time is between 10 o'clock in the morning to about 4 p.m. So I basically have a 6-hour gap that most people, 95% of people, want pictures done. Now, of course, I can set my own schedule as far as like, if I don't really feel like working at 10, I don't have to give that time slot. Somebody contacts me and says, hey, can you take pictures on Monday? What time slots do you have open? I can just tell them Monday at 1 p.m., Monday at 3 p.m. if that's what I feel like doing. And if I feel like sleep it in until 11 or 12, I can do that. But still, I really need to be working during those hours, during 10 to 4 in my real estate business, because that's when most people want jobs done, those kinds of things. As far as YouTube, it's the ultimate as far as making my own schedule. I can literally record a video at 1 in the afternoon if I want. I can record a video at 1 at night if I want. It really doesn't matter, guys. I try to release all my videos during the day, as far as in the United States of America day. I try to release it during the day around, between noon time and let's say about 3 p.m. generally speaking on West Coast time. So, but I can work anytime I want, guys. So that's definitely an advantage. You can make your own schedule. Just remember, it's a certain amount. There's only so far you can go with it, guys. So that's number one. Number two, you can make so much more money as an entrepreneur versus working at a company, as long as you have two things. One is a very, very strong work ethic, and the other is a very, very good strategy. A good strategy, and willing to adapt your strategy and go out and execute that strategy. So there's a lot of people that, are hard workers, right? But they don't get anywhere just because they don't have the right strategy. And there's a lot of people that have this phenomenal strategy, but they're lazy. So if you really want to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to have a strong work ethic, and you have to come in with a good strategy. Or if you don't come in with a good strategy, you need to adapt your strategy and make it into a good strategy at the end of the day. And then you can make way more money than you can working at a company, because you got to understand, working at a company, your earnings will always be limited, because no matter how good you do as an employee, sometimes it comes down to, does your boss like you? Is that promotion opportunity even available? Or does somebody need to die or retire or get fired to get that promotion opportunity? And then you're also competing with a bunch of other people who also probably want that promotion opportunity. So there's so many factors there, guys, and it makes it so hard to make much more money in the corporate world. It usually takes so many years, 5 years, 10 years before you get up to the next rung where you can make that extra 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 a year, guys. It takes a long time. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you can jump rungs so fast. You can go from all of a sudden making 20,000 your first year to making 70,000 the next year, and all of a sudden 150,000 the next year, and then 300,000 the next year. Like, you can jump really fast as long as you got the work ethic for it. Excuse me, you have the work ethic for it, and as long as you have the right strategy and you're coming in, you're executing that strategy, guys. Definitely a big pro there. And number three, When you start making your own money as an entrepreneur, it leads to opportunities to make more money. You just start seeing things like, wow, I can make money this way. I can do this, do that. Now that I'm an entrepreneur and I've made my own money a lot of different ways, I've been an entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur for about almost 2 years now. And the amount of opportunities that have come to me now that I'm just like, there's so many opportunities that it's like, it's too much. It's too much, guys. There's just so much. You kind of realize, wow, I could do this. I can make money this way. I could go this way. When you're not an entrepreneur and you work for a corporation, like, it's hard to even understand these things on how to make money on your own. It's just like you work your job and you just understand like getting a paycheck and relying on that paycheck, and you don't really even see all these different ways of making money, guys. When you start making on your own, you really understand all these other ways of making on your own, guys. So those are definitely the 3 biggest pros in my opinion. Now, as far as the cons, there are definitely some cons. The 3 biggest cons in my opinion of entrepreneurship is, number 1, your future is uncertain. So, for instance, when I worked at Walgreens, when I worked at Quick Trip, QT, never felt like my future was uncertain. I always felt like, I was going to keep working there. Those companies were loaded with hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars on the balance sheet. As far as, if there was a rough time in the economy, they would still be able to keep workers, especially workers like me and whatnot. I never felt like my job was uncertain or my pay was just going to suddenly go down or something like that. Never felt like that ever working for those companies. When you're an entrepreneur, though, you got to understand you could be greatly affected if a customer switches to someone else. Or, for instance, in my real estate business, there are 5 customers that account for about 75% of my business. 5 customers just do a lot of business with me, and those ones, account for about 75% of the revenue in my real estate business. 5 customers. If I lost those 5 customers, guys, that would be really, really, really bad for my real estate business. And then we see the YouTube business, which was my channel, the ads I make off this channel, book sales that, come from this channel, affiliate links, all that kind of stuff, guys. If, like, say, YouTube just stopped promoting my videos as much around, and maybe, the ad rates were lower, like, all that stuff could absolutely affect me. So that's just kind of the uncertainty of an entrepreneur versus working for a company, especially if it's a safe company where you're probably not going to lose your job unless you do something really stupid to get fired at the end of the day, guys. So that's definitely a con for entrepreneurship. Number 2 is, when you go to start being an entrepreneur and you go to start a business, you're always going to have short-term pain, generally speaking. Like, that first year, if not the first 2 or 3 years, it's gonna suck, man. It's gonna suck. Whereas when you first get a job at a corporation, or you get, a better job or something, like, that's like the best day, because all of a sudden you start making so much more money immediately. You start making more money immediately. If you go from, you're working at this job making $25,000 a year, and then you get this job making $45,000 a year, like, immediately you're seeing the return on investment. You're like, yes, this is awesome. And then, obviously you just get used to that, and that's just what happens. Entrepreneurship, if you leave your job, you go to nothing. And then it's so hard to build up. You gotta, really struggle. Like, that first year is just a struggle, man. You're just trying to claw at anything. You're kind of desperate. You're doing whatever you got to do to succeed. You're going way over and above for your customers, because you're trying to keep them. Like, that first year is just a struggle. Whereas the first year when you get a better job at a company or something like that, like, that's usually the best year, because you get used to making all that money and whatnot, guys. So with entrepreneurship, it's a long player game where you're thinking, what's going to be happening a few years out, and how's this going to benefit me, versus, when you work at a company, it's like your best days are usually that first year, and then after that, you just keep making the same money, and you kind of get sick of it unless you happen to keep getting promoted, guys. So short-term pain, absolutely a con for entrepreneurship. And number 3 is, you got to pay your own health care. You got to pay, your own expenses. There's no 401k match. Like, when you work for a corporation, especially a big corporation, like, a lot of times they'll do 401k matches with you up to like 2% or something like that of your paycheck. Some even do it up to 4% or 6%, depending on the company you work for, which will help definitely boost your 401k up. And then they also help out with a lot of healthcare expenses. Some companies even pay for your healthcare. I remember at Quick Trip, I think once you hit 5 years, I think it was 5 years, Quick Trip actually paid for your health care. And then I think it was when I worked there, at least, I don't know if they still do this, but when I worked there, it was like once you hit 10 years, they not only paid for your health care in full, but your family's also, guys. Like, that's a huge thing, and not all companies do that. That's a very select few. But most companies in general, they help with the health care costs. So, like, if you went on your own, it's like almost double the price compared to if you work for a corporation and go that route, guys. So that's a big thing. And then also like expenses. Like, if you work for a company and you're a salesman or a saleswoman and you have to fly all these different places, and then all of a sudden you open up your own company where you're flying all these different places. Now all of a sudden you're paying the plane ticket, where before the company generally pays for those plane tickets and those meal expenses and those hotel stays. Now you got to account for that. So let's say you're making, let's say you're making $75,000 as an employee. Really, the true money you're making is really more toward $100,000 when you factor in how much the company's probably helping with the 401k match, how much they're helping with your healthcare expenses and expenses in general, guys. So that's something to factor in, that if you are going to leave a job and then go work at as on your own as an entrepreneur, you really need to be making about 25% more at least, just to break even at the end of the day. And then you can go on from there, guys. So those are the three biggest pros and the three biggest cons of entrepreneurship. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. This is coming from an entrepreneur's perspective, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you succeed if you are into entrepreneurship and you're trying to start your own business or those kinds of things, whether it's a side business, whether it's a full-time business, anything like that. I wish you guys all the best. I got a million different videos on this channel that can definitely help you out with that. If you just came across this channel, you may want to subscribe. We talk personal finance on the channel. We talk entrepreneurship. I'm an actual business owner. I give away so many business tips. We talk stock market investing more than anything. Check out my book, 10 Ways to Make Passive Income. That's a little way to enter the entrepreneur game. That is linked in that description. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.